sort of for the James Bond legacy, preserving that, like those cinematic treasures?
Well, I mean, I think it's wonderful. I mean, film preservation is such an issue. And, you know, films, even digital things crumble away. I mean, nothing is safe. And to have all this technology put onto our work, you know, and to preserve it, because it is an epic part of cinema, I think, the Bond franchise. I think it's a wonderful thing.
It's great when you see the movie on Blu-ray. I must say, you really get a kick out of it. I don't know whether you guys do, but John, you must particularly, because, you know, you didn't have any of this technology to, you know, when you were doing your movies, and you put it up there on the screen, and you get taken aback at just how good the quality is. And even Dr. No and movies like that, which have, you know, the old Connery movies.
Who did you guys learn from? Who did you take the torch from when you started?
Well, I think we all owe a lot to Terence Young, who was the originator. And he molded a very unskilled actor called Sean Connery into a wonderful screen character. He took him to his tailor, he dressed him properly, he wrote various things into the script which made him a know-all, someone who was very knowledgeable about everything, spoke every language you can imagine. He made him into a character that just carried on through the years and become a favorite of most people.
Well, it's difficult to say, really. I mean, look, you learn from them all the ones, even from, you know, from John back to Terence Young. You know, my favorite, I loved You Only Live Twice. You know, the great thing about that volcano still remains. I remember gasping in the theater when I saw that set, thinking how fantastic it was. You know, between Terence Young, Guy Hamilton, Lewis Gilbert was the other one, who's terrific. They all set the tone for this, you know. And Sean really got into his stride, and so really you're influenced by all of that. And certainly, as John says, the character, I think, am I correct, John, the humor came in because of Terence Young. He was the one who sort of said, we've got to put humor into this. So I remember in Dr. No, at the time, the painting of Wellington had been stolen, and in the set of Dr. No's kind of lair, there's the Wellington sitting on I mean, it's that sort of tongue-in-cheek stuff which was fantastic, plus the quips and the dialogue and everything else, and the sense of humor it has. And all of that's because of Terence kind of setting that tone.
My favourite scene has to be an action scene, because that's what I was renowned for, I suppose, for action. And I used to do it as a second unit director, and I could have earned a very good living being the second unit director. I think it might have been a lot more fun, actually. But I think probably the truck sequence in License to Kill is probably, with Timothy Dalton, is probably my best achievement. I mean, I think it ranks, certainly for duration anyway, it went on for quite a long time. But it's sustained, you know, and it was very much part of the narrative, the truck sequence. And Timothy Dalton was very good in it. He was very brave. I mean, those trucks were real, and they were unforgiving. If you made one little slip, that would be good night, boys, you know. It was lights out. So, no, he was very good in that. And Carrie Lowell, the leading lady in that, was also very good. And there were some great stunts in it, you know, transferring from the aeroplane to the tanker and all that stuff. It was really very clever stuff.
Well, in mine, there's a big opening sequence, the chase along the Thames, and I didn't really do that. I mean, Vic Armstrong did that. I did bits and pieces of it, so I can't really take credit for that. But I suppose I was hired really to put a woman more in the center of the piece in two ways. One, to have a real woman villain, and the second, to get M out into the plot a bit more. And I think the work that we did there, I think, is sort of what I was sort of pleased with, that we did manage to create a female villain that was sort of interesting.
Probably a scene in Casino Royale where the girl has sort of just witnessed, Vesper's witnessed a sort of fight on the stairs, a very savage fight between Bond and there's a black kind of mercenary character who is, they battle it out, Bond kills him, and there's a lot of blood and action and things. and she's sitting in the shower when he comes back from his game of, playing with Le Chiffre, and she's sitting in the shower in her clothes with the shower on, and he just quietly joins her, sits down. It's a very kind of emotional. It seems a very small scene for Bond, but actually, that for me is one of my favorite moments in Bond.